how to turn all of this into this. Alright, so in today's video I am going to be showing you the Tunisian tweed stitch, and on camera I'm just going to do a little swatch to show you how to do it. But I'm going to be setting you up to make a larger project, a scarf, okay? And let me just say that the reason that I wanted to do this is because I have all of this leftover larger size yarn, like this super bulky yarn. And so I was like, well, in general, Tunisian crochet takes longer because you're not making, as tall stitches as you normally would be like in regular crochet if you're doing like a double crochets or treble crochets and things like that. And you guys already know that I am super hard pressed for time. So I need to make projects and work on things and do tutorials for things that I can get done relatively quickly. And so I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can use super bulky yarn that'll, crochet up pretty quickly. And so that's why I'm using this super bulky yarn. Because I'm using this super bulky yarn, which calls for a 9mm, that's US, crochet hook, I need to make sure I have the appropriate size needles. Now, in the straight needles, the packet that I showed you, and I'll leave a link to those needles. The straight needles, they only go up to size 8mm. And in general, when you do Tunisian crochet, one of the things that you can do to help with the curling, the inevitable curling that happens, is one, crochet loosely, but two, use a crochet hook that's larger than the yarn calls for. Now with the straight needles like this, without the extension, the largest hook size is an 8, which is a whole millimeter less than what the yarn calls for. So remember, I have these extensions, or these the Tunisian crochet hooks with the extensions, which are used primarily usually for larger projects, but there's a 10mm hook in there. So I'm going to use this because I want to go larger than the yarn requires. As I said, the yarn requires 9mm, so of course there is a 9mm like this with the extension, but I'm going to go larger, so I'm going to use this 10mm, okay? And if you're worried about all this extension part, don't worry. It's nothing to worry about. I just won't be using the majority of it. Alright, so yeah, I'm going to be showing you how to do the Tunisian tweed stitch. And this video is going to kill multiple birds with one stone. One, is going to allow me to crochet a swatch pretty fast. Two, it's going to use a lot of this excess super bulky yarn that I used for previous projects that I kind of just need to use up now. And three, is going to allow me to show you another Tunisian stitch, the Tunisian tweed stitch. Things you will need include a size 10mm crochet hook, some super bulky yarn, a pair of scissors, and a darning, weaving, tapestry needle. Okay, and that is it. Let's get to it. Alright, so first we're going to start out with a slip knot. Okay, we'll grab our Tunisian crochet hook, size 10mm US. And now we're going to just chain out how many ever stitches you want, okay? How many ever chains you want. And you're just going to crochet the number of chains that get you to your desired width. So that's 3, 4. Remember to keep it loose and try not to split your yarn. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see. Alright, that's a nice width, I think, but I'm going to go just a little bit larger. 11, and 12. Okay, so we're working with the first color. We've crocheted out 12 chains, and as per usual, we always skip this first chain and we work into the second chain from the crochet hook. Now, something else that you can do to help with the curling is work into these, I like to call them the vertebrae, these back bumps or humps, okay, of the chains. So that's what we're going to do here. Alright, so this chain right here, this would be the hump, the yarn that's coming from the ball that's wrapped around my finger. That would be the hump for that chain. So we're going to go into this one, which is there. That's the hump. So we're going to insert our crochet hook, keep it loose, yarn over, and pull up a loop like that. Okay. Now we're going to go into the next hump and do the same thing, keeping it nice and loose. All these little things will help with the curling, you guys. Okay. So just keep it loose. Into the hump, yarn over, pull through to the front, keeping it loose. Okay. Yarn over, pull up through the hump, yarn over, pull up on the loop, through the next hump, yarn over, pull up on the loop. Scoot your stitches up as you get closer to this end. That'll help you get into the next hump without it being or becoming tight. Okay, so I scoot them up, and that lets me get the angle I need to get into that next hump. Yarn over, pull up. The next hump is there. Yarn over, pull up. All right, and then this last hump is right there. Scoot my stitches up. Then I'm going to get into that hump, yarn over, and pull up. Alright, so let's count our loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, you might be wondering, how do I have 12 loops if I skipped a chain? Well, remember at the very beginning, even though we skipped a chain, we still had that one loop on our hook, and so that's the 12th loop. Okay, so we went into this second chain right there, and that allowed us, after we yarned over and pulled up, to create our loop, right? And so here are the 11 loops that we got from doing that, but we already have the one loop, and that technically corresponded to that first chain that we skipped, and so we still have 12 loops. Alright, so starting out with the Tunisian tweed stitch, before we switch colors, we always do a foundation row. So remember, a Tunisian row, or a foundation row in this case, is the forward pass and the return pass. So we're going to go back the other way now. Now remember, you always, before going back, you yarn over and you just chain one. So go through that first loop only, and we get that nice little chain there. And now we can begin yarning over and going through 2 loops. 1, 2. Okay, yarn over and go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Alright, I'm going to speed this up now. Okay, so that's what we have so far. This is our foundation row. It's our first Tunisian row. So now we are going to go across one more time in this color, and then we're going to change colors. Okay, so this is the first bar, the one that we always skip. This is the second one, which is the one we always go into, and we're just going to do the regular Tunisian simple stitch. So go through the vertical bar, vertical line, yarn over, and pull up. And that's how we get our loops as we go across. Okay? You guys, if you've seen my other videos, you already know how to do this part. Alright, let's count our loops so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, as expected. And then we have this left edge stitch. And remember, we go through the front bar, but also that back bar. So it should look like a little chain resting on your crochet hook there. Yarn over and pull through to the front. And now we have all 12 loops again. Alright, so now at this point, this is when we introduce that second color. Okay? So basically all you want to do is grab whatever color you're going to use next. And we always make that chain, that first chain that we do, in the new color. Okay? So I'm going to use this yarn for that. I wanted to use black initially, but because this is a tutorial, I thought I should try to stick to a lighter color. Alright, and so we're going to just pull this in and then make a chain with that first loop. So this is kind of like that first yarn over, right? And I'm just holding it there to pull through like that. And now we've made that chain. And we can pull down like that on the darker green, okay, to kind of tighten it. Alright, now we can yarn over and go through 2 like we normally do on our return pass. Okay, so yarn over, go through 1, 2, keeping it loose, yarn over, go through 1, 2, 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 there it is, almost, there it is. Alright, yarn over, go through, you can scoot your stitches up as you work your way through them, across, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 1, 2, yarn over, go through 1, 2, 2, there we go, yarn over, go through 1, 2, yarn over, go through 1, 2, and then yarn over and go through 1, 2. Okay, so that's what we have so far. So before we switch colors again, we always have to go back to this side. Okay, so just remember, you start your new color over here, and that's the same side that you have to get back to before you can, you know, either go back to the color you had before or start another color. Okay, so you always have to do that forward pass, and just remember, the new color always starts with that chain on the left edge. Alright, so that means we have to work our way back across. Now the vertical bars are that darker green, and as per usual, we skip this first one, but we go into the second one and we just do the regular Tunisian simple stitch to pull up on the loop. Okay, just keeping it nice and loose. Let's see, it's 5 loops. Remember, we should be maintaining 12. That's 6. That's 7. Let's have some slack. That's 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, and then we look for that edge stitch, which is there, and we go through the front and back loop, so it looks like there's a chain resting on our crochet hook, and this will be 12. Okay, and that's what we have so far. Now we're going to go back to the dark green, And remember, you always start the new color with that first chain. So I'm going to drop the light green, grab the dark green, and just make the chain. So I have it. Now I'm going to pull through and make the chain. There's the chain. Give myself some slack. And now I'm going to start my yarn over, go through 2. So 1, 2, keeping it loose. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Scoop these up. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 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 2. And yarn over, go through 2. Okay? So remember, we have to make our way back across before we change colors again. We only change colors on the left edge. And it's what we already know. So we skip the first bar, go into the second one. And just do the regular old Tunisian simple stitch. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So beautiful, right? 9, 10. I love it. 11. And then remember, 12 is this edge. Okay? So find that front and that back loop. So it can be like a chain resting on your crochet hook. And 12. Okay, so this is what we have. And now I'm just gonna drop the darker green, pick this up, and make that first chain in the new color by yarning over and only going through 1, like we always do, and then commence to yarning over and going through 2. 1, 2. And continue on. Okay, so I'm just going to continue in this fashion. Once I'm done with this ball, because obviously I'll be finished with this ball before this one, then I'm just going to tie the new leftover ball that I'm using. For example, I might use this one next. I'll connect this one to that once I get to the end, and then start working with this one. Okay, and this is how you can use your scraps to create this awesome pattern that I am doing. Okay, so continue in this fashion, and I will meet you back here a little bit later once I get a little bit more length. Okay, I will see you there. Alright guys, so this is what I have so far. Okay, here you can see the foundation row. Okay, and then I introduced this green, and I started alternating between this green and this green. And remember, I only started a new color on the left edge. So for here, I started on the left edge, and then, you know, I went through the loops, and then I made my way back, and then I went to the darker green. Okay, so there are a few things that I wanted to show you now. And the first one is that, notice the dark green, I'm pretty much almost out of this. Okay, I am supposed to switch to the lighter green at this point, which I'm going to do, but I mention this because I'm going to leave this hanging, and when I get back I'm going to switch to another color. So I think one way to keep it looking very nice and neat is to only change color on the left edge. I mean, that's normally when we change color, right? But what if you run out of yarn, right there? I think it would look a little bit tacky to change color in the middle. I mean, if there was some sort of pattern to it, it could be cool, but there won't be, because I have, you know, yarn of different amounts, you know. I have this huge thing, and then I have like this. So just to keep it looking nice, I'm going to only change colors on the left edge, okay? So I know that this is not enough to get me over here and back, so I'm done with this color, all right? That's the first thing I wanted to show you. The second thing I wanted to show you is, so let's just continue on and you'll see it. So yarn over, chain 1, okay? And then let me zoom in a little bit. I can get a closer view, because I know you guys like that. Okay, now I just continue on with the yarning over, and I keep these stitches kind of up. As I said, I don't need this extension part, but this was the size Tunisian crochet hook that I needed, so that's the only reason I'm using it. Yarn over, go through 2, and make sure you're not splitting your yarn. If you do, just correct it. Okay, yarn over, go through 2. So you'll notice that when I yarn over, you're going to see the current color that I'm working with, the current color that I'm working with, and then that previous color. So it should be, in this case, light green, dark green. Yarn over, light green, dark green. Yarn over, light green, dark green. Yarn over, current, former. Yarn over, current, former, okay? Also, something else that I wanted to emphasize is that make sure you are maintaining the correct number of stitches, you guys, okay? Remember, you should have 12 loops, and I could have counted, and probably should have counted, but I can still count them here, because this is where I went through. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all right? And you can just count how many times you go through. 9, 10, 11, and 12, okay? So you can count as you're going through, or you can count the vertical bars or vertical lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, okay? So we are doing what we should. We're maintaining the correct number of stitches. You don't want to accidentally decrease and then have your scarf get narrower. All right, and now we're going to make our way back to the other side. So we'll go through the vertical bar. So, oh yeah, before I do that, this counts as 1, obviously, right? So when we go through this vertical bar, that's 2. And so you can just count to yourself. 3, 4, 5. Something else I wanted you to pay attention to is notice that you're going through the vertical bars of the other color. So we're working with this lighter green, but we're going through the vertical bars of the darker green, and that's because that's the last color we were using. Okay, 6. And my yarn splits, I'm going to do it again. 7, and it split again, see there? So I'm going to take it out and do it again because I'm a perfectionist. 7, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 9. It kind of helps me to put my finger up against the vertical bar. 10, and I'm keeping it loose. 11. Something else, the last thing I wanted to point out to you, well, second to last thing, is that when you get here, you might be wondering what line, like which stitch is the edge stitch? Is it this light green or is it the dark green? Well, just think about what color vertical bars or vertical lines were you going into across when you're making your way back left. You're going into the darker green ones, right? You're going into the dark green lines. So it wouldn't be that light one, it would be the dark green. So you go into it, but remember it should look like a chain, right? That's only one loop. So we need the other loop. And the way you find the other loop is you kind of rotate it, and then you see it there. You kind of pull your crochet hook back, and then it appears, the other loop, okay? Now it looks like a chain or the top of a stitch, and then yarn over and pull through. And that's 12, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. All right, so as I said, we're done with this, and we can deal with this later. We will tuck it in later. But now it's time to start a new color. Remember, we only start the new colors on the left edge. So this is the last thing that I wanted to show you. So I'm going to grab this mustard. I think it was from the fall autumn hat that I made. Yeah, I think that's what this is from. Anyway, I had a little bit left over, as you guys clearly see. So I'm going to bring this in now. And remember, I'm going to do it just like I did with the light green earlier. Okay, so I'm going to hook it and hold it like that, and then pull it through for that first chain 1. Now I'm going to tug a little bit on the light green to kind of bring that down. Okay, I'm also going to make sure I don't lose the tail or the other end of that mustard. And now I'm going to start to work with the mustard by yarning over. And by the way, that chain 1, that counts as 1. Okay, so yarning over and going through 2. That's 2. And we just continue on. 3, 4, 5. And remember, yarn over, current, former. 6, yarn over, current, former. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So we've maintained the same number of stitches. And remember, on our way back, we always work with the other color. So we're going to go into this one's 2, second light green vertical bar. All right, and remember this loop that's already on our crochet hook, that counts as 1. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And once again, you get to this point and you're like, is that the vertical bar or is that the vertical bar? Well, ask yourself, what color have you been going through in terms of vertical bars? You've been going through the light green. So that light green is the vertical bar you want. So insert your hook and then rotate so we can get the other part of it, that chain there. So it looks like a chain. Okay, now it looks like a chain. It has 2 loops. And then we'll yarn over, and that will be 12. Okay. Now you see how it's kind of loose right there, that light green. You can always kind of pull on it and pull on the other end of the mustard just to kind of tighten it up. Now we're going to go back to the light green. And just make sure you're rotating, swapping your yarns around so they don't get too tangled. Okay, so yarn over and chain 1. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, last time I'm going to show you this one. Is this the line that we're going to, or is that one? Well, what color are the vertical bars that you've been going into already for this row? They've been that mustard color, so that's it. Insert your hook, rotate a little bit to find the other loop for that, and you'll see it as you retract your crochet hook a little bit, you'll see it appear there. Now it looks like a chain. Yarn over, pull through, and 12. Okay? So that's how you change colors, and I'm just going to continue doing this. Okay, those are the things that I wanted to show you, because I figured as I was going through it, I was like, they would probably be wondering about those things, or I could see myself if I were beginning, having questions about it. So I wanted to show you that. So I'm going to continue on going through my yarn, and yeah, I will meet up with you once I get my scarf to its desired length, and then I will show you how to bind off, and you'll have a nice happy scarf. Initially I was just going to do a swatch and I was going to end it here, but this is working up so fast that I think I might actually be able to finish this and include it in the video by the time it's time to post. Okay, so yeah, I will be back after I get this to my desired length. See you there. Alright, so I've gotten my scarf to the desired length, and just for symmetry purposes, if you remember when we first started, I did a complete Tunisian row, and it was the foundation row because it was the first one and the solid color before I started alternating. So just to kind of make it match a little bit, I'm back on the side where I change colors, but instead of changing colors, I am going to do another row of this kind of burnt orange. Okay, so chain 1, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, and we'll speed this up now because you guys know how to do this. Okay, and then I'm going to make my way back over to the other side where I change colors, and you're going to see why I'm doing this. Normally you would, that would end the Tunisian row, but I'm going to make my way back over, just working the Tunisian simple stitch through all of the vertical bars. And by the way, I do still have 12 stitches or loops because I've been maintaining that. I have not increased or decreased. I've been counting periodically to make sure that I haven't made any mistakes. And now this last one through the front as well as the back, so it looks like a chain before you yarn over and go through. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Okay, so that is going to be it for this. Okay, now I was going to show you how to bind off, and I already have a video showing you how to do that, but kind of looking at this, I decided that I want to have a border on this, and so I am going to put a black border around the entire scarf. So instead of binding off, I'm going to cut this orange yarn down because I'm done with it now. And then I'm going to act as if though I am working another color in, which I am. And do that like that. Okay. And now we'll just go across like normal, adding that new color, which is black. Okay. And black is going to be my border for the entire scarf, if you're wondering. Okay, and then we'll just pick up loops again, going back across to the other side, to the left side, to the left edge. And Then this final one, getting the front loop and that back one. Okay. And now, you guys, we're going to go back and complete this Tunisian row. Now, so I yarned over, went through, did the chain one, and now I'm doing the yarn over, go through 2 loops. Okay. Okay, so now at this point, you guys, this is where we're going to go from Tunisian crochet to just regular crochet. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to insert our crochet hook, yarn over, pull through to the front, and make a single crochet like that. Okay, we're just going to go through each of these stitches, and I'm sorry that this is black. But I'm just essentially making single crochets in between the stitches, and I'm going to do this along the entire scarf. Okay, so just go in between the stitches, and then yarn over, pull through to the front, 2 loops, yarn over, go through 2. You guys remember what a single crochet is. Also, you could still, use your darning, weaving tapestry needle if you want to, and I'll show you with one example here. Kind of just feed the yarn through. So this is obviously from the black, and then just kind of work through some of these stitches like that, and then go back in the other direction, working through the black as well in slightly different areas, just to kind of get it kind of woven in there. Okay, and then you cut your yarn down. Once again, I apologize that it's black, but it's just what I decided on. Okay, but for all of these other tails that are on this edge, because remember we only change colors on the left edge, because I'm creating this border, instead of weaving all of these tails in, I'm just going to crochet over them. Okay, so in this corner I'm going to put 1, 2 single crochets to kind of get me around the corner. Okay, and now I'm just going to start to go through the stitches and adding single crochets, but I'm also going to make sure I'm crocheting over the tail. So if there's a tail there, just lay it on top and make your single crochet over it. When you do this, you're going to have to know where your tails are so that you line them up. Okay, so it might help to kind of have an idea of where your tails are so that you can line them up and be ready to crochet over them with the single crochet. Okay, here's that turquoise coming up, so I'm gonna get that ready, be looking out for it, and yeah, just go into the edge, find a nice spot, and just make your single crochets. Make sure you're not, see how I split the yarn, make sure you're not going through stitches, because that will not be good and it'll make it look like an eyesore. Okay, and you can put 1 to 2 single crochets in each space. It all depends on the look that you're going for. Okay, so here's the turquoise tail. You can go in the stitch, just make the single crochet, and then you can go in between the stitches, but notice I'm crocheting over that tail. Okay, until it's no more, and then that way I don't have to worry about tucking in all of these tails, because that's a lot of work. Okay, and so this is kind of what it's looking like. Also, you don't need to go into the exact same places that I'm going. Okay, if you space your stitches, your single crochets out appropriately along the perimeter of your scarf, then there should be no buckling, and if there is, then that means you need an extra stitch in between your last one, your previous one, and the one you last made. Okay, so this is kind of what it's looking like. So I'm going to continue around the entire scarf, just crocheting over the tails. So I don't have any more tails until I get down here with the red and the turquoise. I'll probably cut this down because I don't need all of that excess, but just crochet over the tails, and I'm going to crochet all around, and I'm going to meet you back in this corner. Okay, I will see you there. Alright you guys, so I am almost back at the corner, and it was kind of hard to see, but remember I asked you for each corner to put 2 single crochets so that it kind of rounds the corner out. Okay, and now I'm going to put another one there just to make sure it really rounds it out. Okay, and now I'm going to just slip stitch into the next single crochet and pull all the way through. Okay, so you see how it's nice and round. Now I'm going to chain 1 and then cut my yarn. Alright, and my Tunisian crochet hook wants to leave me. It's tired of crocheting. And then fasten off like that. Alright, so I use this Tunisian crochet hook to crochet normally, like, with just regular crochet, and that's fine to make the single crochets to do that border. It's totally allowed and perfect. Okay, and now I'm just going to weave in this last tail by feeding it through the darning weaving tapestry needle, and then just going through some stitches, okay, in one direction, pulling through, and then going in the other direction. By the way, if you come out here, you want to go past that at least one stitch and then go in. Okay, it's just because it can come undone if you don't. Okay, alright, that's enough for me. So now I'm going to cut this down. Alright, so let me show you what it looks like. By the way, I had someone ask what the Tunisian simple stitch looks like on the back side. So you guys already saw the front side. This is what it looks like on the back side. So you have a different pattern, which is cool in and of itself. And so because it's a nice presentable pattern on both sides, this is a reversible scarf. So how cool is that, right? But yeah, this is what I have, you guys. So it's nice, beautiful, warm scarf. You guys have no idea. When you do Tunisian crochet, it's a very warm stitch. Like the stitches that come from Tunisian crochet, they're very warm stitches. But I think this black border really just accentuates not only the Tunisian simple stitch pattern, but also the colors, the alternating colors that I use for this. Yeah, just kind of like makes them pop in my opinion. Let me organize this and then I will be back. Alright guys, it is a little challenging to get this entire scarf into the frame, but basically this is it. Okay, so you have the inside, which presents with this alternating row pattern. You're changing the colors, and it's very evident when you change the colors. And then on the other side you have this. And yeah, you can still see that you're alternating between colors, but it's a little less obvious one. As I said, because both patterns are actually really nice, this can serve as a reversible scarf. So Maybe you feel like having these vertical lines one day, but then maybe another time you want some horizontal stripes, you know? So it all depends on what mood you're in. It's a very versatile sort of scarf, and it is super warm. One, because of the chunky yarn that we use, but two, because it's Tunisian crochet and a lot of the stitches are just the way you weave them, to weave the yarn, it just makes for a very thick piece of crochet work. Okay, so yeah, this is what we have with this tutorial. So hopefully you guys have learned something and you can now crochet yourself a nice warm Tunisian scarf. Okay, alright guys, that is going to be it for this video, but you know I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, happy crocheting.